wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we're going to have a Sunday with a lot of Carcassonne. Japan against Slovakia starting in 8 minutes, but before that we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So since our last stream on Thursday, a lot of things had happened. You saw everybody how Romania defeated the Netherlands. Latvia, Hungary. Obviously now the result is up over here. That was a clutch match. Interestingly, yesterday Italy beat Taiwan in a surprising upset. If you ask me, because Taiwan is a team with 4 masters on it, maybe 5, unless I missed something. But Italy came back and won 4-1. And interestingly, if we go to the detailed result over here, look at that. The World Championship runner-up, Hotly, Min Wei Chen, lost on time twice. So that was something that doesn't happen every day. And I did check those games. It wasn't a no-show. No, these were actually both losses on time. Some other interesting things happened as well. We have 2 5-0 results over here. Germany defeating Guatemala the other day. Quite predictably, Germany is looking very strong this year. China-Ukraine was a very close match yesterday, even though the results may not make it seem that way. But it was a toss-up until the very end, and it all came down to the duel between the player with the screen named Dr. Tai Han and the Ukrainian master fan Alex N, and it was all decided in the 3rd game. Some more interesting things. Chile beat Belgium in a clutch match, again only with the minimum possible difference. It all came down to the battle between 2 captains. Interestingly, Portugal beat France yesterday, but this was historic not only because of that. Well, obviously I think Portugal had beaten France before. I'm not sure about that. It doesn't matter. But the decisive point was won by the player with the screen named Bikoro56, who is 9 years old. So I'm pretty sure he must be the youngest participant of the championship, and definitely the youngest to do so, to bring, a decisive point to their team. So that's something nice. Also, actually, we have quite a lot of young talents. We have a 15-year-old player in Brazil lined up today, a 19-year-old in Brazil who was national championship. We had before last year Satoru Kishino, who's 14-year-old, who was actually the MVP of the entire championship. But you will not see him on the lineup today. He's actually not playing in the Japanese team at all. So the United States-Peru result is not up, but United States won convincingly, either 3-2 or 4-1. There was an interesting situation with a potential no-show, and it's probably that something is going to be maybe disputed, maybe discussed, but eventually United States will have their win. It's going to be either 3-2 or 4-1. And Colombia quite predictably won Malaysia, with Colombia being a stronger and stronger team every year. So yeah, as you see, there was the decisive duel between the player with the screen and Bubble Crowman, who's like the strongest Malaysian player, and Sergio Antolines. And in this key matchup, the Colombian prevailed 2-0. So much for the news. All right, so many of you are here. Hi Crafty, hi Glavier, hi David, hi Kaika, hi Joao. Crafty is asking, 9 years old, is that even legal? Is that even legal? Well, I mean, his father is also like a Carcassonne player in Board Game Arena, so I'm pretty sure there was adequate supervision. Nothing to worry about there. Alrighty, but we need to talk about one more thing before the match starts. We still have 3 minutes before that happens. Calendar, no, not the calendar. To remind you, we're playing Fantasy Carcassonne as well. I am giving away a copy of Citadels. It's a nice board game that many of you might like, with extra special competitive rules from Alexey that are not in the rule book. And in order to win these Citadels, you have to predict who are going to be the 5 best performing players in this championship. If you don't know what I'm talking about, for terms and conditions, visit the link under this video. I hope I linked it under this video, but if not, you will see that in my uploads. It's called new giveaway announcement or something like this. Then, you know, we're gonna talk about that later as well. But let's now go to the actual match. You already see the pairings, I hope, somewhere on the board, maybe on the right. Yeah, it should be on the right. So let's just go through the lineups real quick. And here, so Kythera is the one to watch, and also Kythera is the player whom many of you have selected for your Fantasy 5, and he's the most selected Japanese player for the Fantasy 5. Haro also, I think, about around 600. Pyro has been selected by many of you for the Fantasy 5, and should have also been selected by many of you for the Fantasy 5. And I think Jewel 5 is the one to watch, because Slovakia is a fairly newer team. But the player with the screen name Mate11, I'm not sure quite who that is. The link may suggest, their screen name may suggest that it could be Mate Tabak, who is a strong Slovakian player in person, and actually very often came like 4th or 3rd in the World Championship, who like came close to winning the title pretty often, but didn't quite get there, and has been playing for Carcassonne over 10 years. I think it's them. I'm only 70% sure, so please, somebody who's familiar with the Slovakian team, correct me in the chat in case I'm wrong. But now we're going to go here and just go straight to the games. So let's actually start with this pair, because I think this will be the most exciting one to watch. So Japan is, of course, the heavy favorite in this match. And I'd say pretty much in the entire championship. It doesn't matter that they don't have Takafumi Mochizuki in their roster. It doesn't matter that they don't have Satoru Kishino. They just have amazingly strong players anyway. All right, see? So they are not playing yet. We will keep refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. Why are they not starting? I hope I didn't get the match time wrong. No, it should be fine. It's 11 UTC right now, which is 12 UK, so it has to be 11 UTC, so it is on them. We might have to start with another duel if that is not the case. But before that, I'm going to tell you one more quite interesting fact. So I've looked at the, well, not I've looked, but actually the American captain sent that info to me. The average rating of the teams, of the players, you know, within a team has changed, and now Japan is actually not the highest rated team. If you look at the players' individual ratings, they're losing out a couple of rating points to another team. Well, see if you can guess which one that is. So who do you think is the highest, the team with the highest average ELO in the championship? I'm going to wait a couple of minutes and then I'll tell you the answer soon enough. In the meantime, we'll see if Kythera had started playing. No, they have not. Very interesting. Okay, I see the correct answer there. No, it's not RCP, it is not Germany, but it is, right, Kirill, it is China. And I get word that Should versus Mare is starting. Thanks for that. But yeah, China is now the highest rated team in the championship after their victory against Ukraine. And wow, both players are really high rated. So Mate11 also gotten some rating points since the last time we played. So this one has to be absolutely clutch. Well, he's doing pretty well. He has a 7-point city, which can still be completed. These kind of cities, they can get completed very fast. Triangle here, city cap over here. That's one option. Another option, triangle, triangle, and triple city. What Dan Chard in his book of Carcassonne calls a lip-shaped city. But red should, the Japanese player, is the first on the scoreboard to complete the first 4 points over here. By the way, I have another piece of good news. Since last stream, fingers crossed, I have fixed all the technical issues that we have. So for example, now, if I'm circling this monastery over here, which I think is now the opening advantage for red, then it should hopefully appear in the right place. It's actually quite satisfying to like fix some technical things and realize what was wrong. Anyway, just wanted to share that. So the splitter was drawn by the player with the red meeples, and red is now building up these smallish cities, which possibly will even compensate for this big city over here. And this city is now getting so big that blue decided that he's gonna want to build it with 2 meeples. Even if the city doesn't get completed, blue just wants to preserve this point. It's certainly a very entertaining strategy to watch, but it's super high variance, because if blue completes the city, then blue probably wins. And, you know, look at all these shields over here. These things alone, these 5 tiles alone, will give blue 20 points if the city gets completed. But if the city gets blocked, well, then blue will have 2 meeples trapped, and then maybe red will try and create some sort of big field to get the win. Both players are playing fairly fast. Interesting monastery choice over here from red, but they actually wasn't a good spot. And look at that, this straight line fits quite nicely between the monasteries. So you know what, maybe there's a world in which blue completes the city, but red manages to amass sufficient compensation before that. Maybe red gets a straight line, red gets a curve, then red finishes a monastery with another monastery, then red gets a monastery over here, and so on and so on. A lot of interesting things can happen. In order to prevent that, blue is trying to block this monastery square, at the same time dropping 2 city caps in his field, at the same time starting a new 4-point city. I actually quite like that move. And in the meantime, red has successfully not blocked, but halted the development of the city. There's still 3 tiles that fit into this sensitive square. Interesting move. Actually, I rather like it, I have to say. So red is willing to sacrifice a meeple here just to make sure that the city does not get completed, but it ain't gonna work. So red will get these 4 points compensation, which I think was the idea behind it, and actually I quite like that. But there's still 3 tiles that fit into this square, and with an 88% chance, sooner or later, they are coming for blue. And then blue will be feeling quite well about this. However, look at that tile. It's just fantastic for red, and it's absolutely worth spending red's last meeple, one of the rare exceptions. Red can get a meeple back soon. Of course, very unfortunate for red that he drew the monastery when he didn't have any meeples. Well, because, you know, that would be an excellent monastery to meeple, but it just ain't gonna happen. And very fortunate for blue that blue managed to draw this tile really early. So red will not get to enjoy a temporary meeple advantage. If anything, red is at a temporary meeple disadvantage. And in order to come back into this game, red will need a lot of city caps. So for example, city cap here, farmer here. City cap up top, farmer here. Let me just move the board for you a little bit. Well, yeah, it has to happen, right? That's the first move where I a bit disagree with red. I think this city was actually the priority to complete, because then you get to connect with extra value. But it's fine, it's fine. Red can still do something in this game. Blue draws a fortunate tile with this crossroads, getting 7 points for the road and denying red the continuation for this road. But look at that. Blue is only 8 points ahead, and if red finishes this city and this city, then they're even on the scoreboard. And like in a classical old school 10 years ago Carcassonne game, it all comes down to the field, you know, like honest field battle. You drop a field meeple, I drop a field meeple, and we do this 12 times, and then the winner gets decided by a coin flip or something like this. All right, let's see. What are you saying? Craft Giraffe is asking, what do you think about Blue's early field meeple? I rather like it. It's actually working out pretty well for him. Exactly, Glovier. And excellently pointed out, because a reason to drop an early field meeple is typically when your opponent has monasteries, and red had monasteries and blue has fields, so that sort of nicely balances itself out. But now red will drop the farmer and accomplish his objectives, and the game will be really, really close. So blue is threatening to drop another farmer over here. So red really, really wants a curve over here just to block the opportunity of another field connection, but it ain't gonna work out. So this situation here is possibly even game decisive. Will red be the first to fill this square, or will blue be the first to fill this square? We will find out in just a couple of seconds. And yes, the curve comes in, the monastery is pre-finished, and now red denies blue another field meeple. So what blue has to do, probably start a new city, look for some field farming opportunities later. And it does seem now that blue will need the farm in order to win, because red has a slight lead because of all these completed monasteries. Whoops, that was a little bit too dramatic. With the drawings over there, you know, these 4-point cities, they add up, and here goes the farmer, of course, 2 tiles away from connecting into this huge, huge field. So red needs to think how to deal with that real quick. Possibly red could just wait for a couple of moves, finish the city. Maybe red could try and build barricades around this field. Maybe if you get something like triangle here and triangle here, or a triple city here, something like this, then we could, as red, potentially leave this blue meeple stranded. It's a bit of a far-fetched shot, because you look at these big tiles over here. A lot of them are out, and a lot of triangles are out as well, so there actually aren't many triangles in the deck. But in case red does draw the triangles, it's certainly a possibility. Red decided not to build barricades, but start amassing points. Blue is trying to connect, but at the same time, blue is creating a field connection opportunity for red. If red gets any city tile, I guarantee you a field meeple is going down right there. That's an interesting question from Concord. Why did blue not claim this one-piece road in order to equalize the 4 points from red? Maybe, I'm not sure what I think about this. Maybe blue didn't want to be extra greedy, and blue wanted to have some insurance against the 12% situation where he doesn't get any of these 3 tiles earlier. But yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I might have meepled the road as well. What a farmer! That is spectacular Carcassonne right there. So here's the idea. If red gets a curve, then red immediately connects. But if blue gets a curve, blue blocks this connection by placing the curve like this. But then red will still have a chance to reconnect by placing a crossroads here. And there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 crossroads remaining, and then connecting through the outside curve. So this field meeple, even though it looks like it's really risky, it actually has several paths into this big field. Well, let's see if any of these paths end up actually being implemented. Also, another field connection opportunity right here, another field connection opportunity right here, and right here. At the end of the game, we're going to see like 12 farmers potentially deployed. So meeples are extra precious in this situation. We don't want to be as either side starting some 3-point road, and probably if we were to get one of the monasteries, we don't even want to start another monastery, as much as it hurts to say. It's all about that field. Kuba is saying that Mate can block the field connection with a single turn. I don't... well, basically there will be a reconnect no matter what, like either through a crossroads or with a road monastery. Like there will still be back-to-back tiles, but now it's not going to matter because red did successfully complete the connection, and if anything, red now has the majority on the farm. So first of all, blue will need to secure another farmer. But I think not with that tile. I think a better move for blue here is to finish this city and drop yet another farmer and only then connect over here, because there's still a curve to connect here. There's still 2 monasteries to connect on the right here as well. So I think using this tile to connect would be impatient, and also it would be illegal because I only just noticed that it's not blue, it's red that has this tile in hand, and of course red will be wanting to drop yet another farmer, and now the things are looking really difficult for blue over here. We see more farmers, but will there be even enough moves in the game to connect this, and then to block this? I'm not sure about that. Blue is playing way too fast. I think here, blue needed to evaluate very carefully whether the priority is to complete the connection or to try and block the square. It does seem that completing the connection was a good move, though, and interestingly, blue calmly places a monastery meeple. Not sure if blue might need another farmer later. Now red gets a fantastic tile to either finish a city at the bottom or just claim new 6 points for a city over here, or maybe even try to find some sort of cunning block or a spatial move, maybe restricting access to the field. Let's see what he does. He chooses to finish a city and cashing on the points. Now red with the meeple advantage, blue in a very difficult situation. Blue will need multiple farmers in order to win, but blue has only 1 extra meeple in hand, and they need to find a field connection opportunity. They're trying to create something with this city cap, but maybe the move was to actually place the city cap over here and try to drop a farmer like this. I don't know. Red has blocked the field connection, it seems. I'm not sure if there's one curve remaining. To be honest, I haven't been particularly strong on the tile tracking here because the players are playing quite fast, and it seems that the fast play was to blue's detriment over here. I have no idea how he's able to count tiles this fast. Must have some sort of super brain, but he actually knew that there was a crossroads remaining, and he did equalize the field, and it's gonna end to be actually pretty close. Still more for reds, but only a little bit. And as I said, it's kind of an honest classical field battle where the sides have equalized the 30-point field, but red had managed to amass more points, and that is going to be a small victory for Team Japan. Japan now up on the scoreboard. What an entertaining game. I suggest that we stick with this duel because they are playing pretty fast. Nope. Okay, now I'm gonna do this and just keep refreshing. Do let me know if there is a particular pair that you'd like to look at. But I do feel that based on the tempo of the game, these guys will finish so fast that we'll have time to look at something else. Okay, I gotta grab a piece of chocolate for energy. It's gonna be a really, really long Carcassonne day over here. So both for me, because after that, you gotta stay tuned for Hong Kong versus Brazil. And then, of course, you can watch other streams. I think they may be a stream in Spanish. I forgot. We'll look at the streaming schedule as the official championship streaming schedule later. It's going to be Spain, Catalonia. A few hours from now. So should I think my face is covering the chat, like the chat around the board game table, but should is saying, please restart the game, because they have the wrong time settings, and of course, understandably, the Slovakian player might not want to play a slow time control, but these are the championship rules. Actually, if we just go to the previous wait a second, check this out. Wait, this game is void. It's normal speed. So the result, according to official championship rules, the result of the previous game does not count. They actually have to replay that. So I am not going to interfere, because here I'm just the commentator, right? If it is what it is, but it looks like, I don't know. What do you think, my viewers? Do we like? Do I type something in the chat or not? I don't think so. I don't think it's kind of it should be not my business, right? But according to official championship rules, the previous game didn't count. It has to be slow time control. There are a lot of reasons for that as well, and one of the reasons is that, well, first of all, it just makes for better Carcassonne, but also it mitigates against potential cheating. Yeah, also thinking so. So we're not going to interfere, but we're just going to to watch the show. Because you see, Shud said that, oh, you need to restart. You need to make the game with different settings. But he was talking about the starting player, not about the time control. So they're playing normal speed. So this game will not count for the championship. I'm pretty sure about that. But we're still going to watch it because it's just going to be good Carcassonne. Kubu is asking, how does it prevent cheating? It does not prevent cheating. It is mitigated. So scripts, any kind of additional software, tile counters are forbidden in the championship. And these days, it's actually possible to detect. You know, if somebody who's suddenly getting really good at tile counting and plays really fast, it is a potential red flag. But should somebody cheat with a tile counter and save time, you know, because like tile counters do save a lot of time, then at least the damage against the other player would not be that severe. So I'm about 90% sure that in one of my championship matches last year, I've played many of those, so you won't know which I'm talking about. I played against somebody who was using a tile counter, and I was in time trouble all the time because they were playing so fast, even though they were not a particularly high rated player. So of course, that's one of the many reasons why the slow time control has been introduced. But well, first of all, but for me, just because it's not really slow, it's normal. The normal time control is blitz. It's a very complicated game. Carcassonne rivals chess in the complexity of certain situations, as you will see in a video that I'm making for a long time that I'm planning to release shortly after the championship. But yeah, so we're gonna enjoy this game, And I'm like 90% sure the organizers will not let the result stand. But we just gotta enjoy the show. And red is doing pretty well here. Red is doing really well. Completing 2 cities, managing to equalize the city that blue was trying to build. Starting yet another city, and all blue has showing for them is this 4-point road. So blue will have to make something happen in order to equalize. Farmer. I'm super surprised. I think the field is so open and blue is at a disadvantage that the way blue gets an opening advantage is either by drawing a monastery, which he didn't do, or by being the first on the field. And even though sort of like the rule of thumb is 3 cities in a field are enough to justify it, there are already 2 cities, but it has so many green squares. And a farmer by blue, at least now, well, I'm so surprised. At least now, the farmer would also be an insurance against red potentially completing this city, which red is only 1 tile away from doing. So, of course, we'll see an interference here from blue. But somebody, theoretically, can place a city tile over here and YOLO it for a quadruple city tile. Please, please make it happen for content. The takeover of this city is potentially possible. Well, blue, in the meantime, chose another route to equalize the game. He chose to make a deal with the board game arena developers and make sure that they throw a monastery at him. And it's a super nice tile to have in this position. Also, red just prepared a second monastery spot for blue, which is really nice for reds. Blue is now likely to win this little mini battle over here. So this connection is still possible, but rather unlikely, and blue will end up with 4 extra points for this meeple in comparison to this red meeple. Both players are playing really fast again. Keithra has won 1-0. By the way, we have another decisive result. Keithra predictably won 1-0, I think, just because it's such a strong player, and there's no wonder why almost half of those of you who are participating in the Fantasy Carcassonne Challenge, almost half of you actually selected Keithra for the Fantasy 5s. Okay, red, please do it, please do it, please do it. Put it over here. Don't be afraid. Go. Yes, let's do it. Let's go, 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 go. Yeah. No, 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 you misclicked. Okay. Objectively, this is, of course, the better move. Like, this would have been an unnecessary risk. But you don't understand. We're having a stream here. We got to have some content, man. I would have done it. I would have done it. I would have placed the meeple over here, hope for a quadruple city tile, and just YOLO it for the game. Oh, well, it is what it is. In the meantime, blue is not shying away from risky moves, despite somehow being ahead on the scoreboard. Oh yeah, 2 monasteries, duh. Blue is now preparing to get a triangle and eat up this city, which means that red now has 2 threats to deal with. Yeah, red decided to protect this city, but here red was unable to deal with this threat. That's also like a principle of multiple threats. So beautiful, right? Again, red, this was a good move, protecting his city, and this was an alternative good move, thwarting blue's potential to eat up. And look at this. In both games, blue ends up getting some big cities. Of course, we know that this game won't count, but hey, it's some Carcassonne. So red possibly now regretting that he didn't YOLO it. I guarantee you red is going to draw the quadruple city tile and red will be kicking himself. And blue did YOLO it and it completely paid off. Well, red is a very, very strong player here. They will make sure to come back into this game. They will have something. They will have something up their sleeve. This city, by the way, is going to be worth 22 points when it's getting completed, or 20. Depending on what kind of tile fits in the square over here, it will add points into red's field as well. And actually, if red completes the city soon, red will be right back up there. But if red completes the city late, then red will be at a slight disadvantage. Oh, Glovier here in the chat is suggesting something interesting. Yes, so red could have gone for the coin flip and then try to block all the city pieces lying around so that in case blue draws the quadruple city tile, blue would have been forced to place this tile over here. This is, of course, the every Carcassonne player's dream, but it happens so rarely. But when it does, it's absolutely great content. I've had it in a couple of games, actually. I think I've recently showed one in my last Games Against Viewers stream. Before starting Games Against Viewers, I actually demonstrated when that happened in one of my games. But the situation there was less interesting because it wasn't a city, it was a ruin, and I only gained like 8 points as a result of this. It's still pleasant when your opponent is forced to help you, but at this point, I'm not even sure that city would have been enough. Look at these monasteries. Look at these monasteries. Monasteries win games. So much so that blue, recognizing that, didn't shy away from placing his last meeple over here. Red valiantly trying to protect his city, which is crucial for him possibly winning the game. Kaika is saying too many open tiles for a forced quadruple city tile. I think at that point in the game, actually, there weren't too many cities on the board. Of course, I told you, red would have gotten it. It always happens like this. And now red has a dilemma. It's... Ooh, interesting. So now, it actually was a very unfortunate tile for red to draw, because now this means that this city here is blockable in one move. He would have gotten it. He would have gotten the city. He could have finished it with a splitter. Of course, he has to do something like this. I think that's a bit premature. I think here you have to gamble. You're so far behind. Don't spend your last meeple. Yeah. I think here red had to play riskier than he actually did. Even though blue did get quite lucky, I saw there were a couple of moments where maybe red wasn't quite utilizing his chances and possibly playing too fast. But again, we know that this game won't matter. Nothing of that will matter. So I think, yeah, the correct course of action is just to just to sit back for us. Well, there were actually 2 splitters in the game, so I think it was really a heavy misstep here from red. Red could have added 4 points to his city and still have a 75% chance to complete it with huge impact. Well, he's still... Wait, where's the tile? Oh, so it does come only at the very last moment, which of course will not be enough. Both of these tiles come at the very last moment, so it does seem that red will be missing out on some 6 road points or something. Or possibly on these 12 field points because red didn't have a meeple, but I think even these extra 12 points would not have been enough. Well, let's see. They say rematch. All right, see. Somebody is writing something nice to me in the chat. I will read this later after the stream. I mean, in the Board Game Arena chats. Okay, let's refresh. Impatience, impatience, dopamine, dopamine. Yeah, plus 14, so it does seem that red need to risk harder and harder in order to come back into this game. Well, this means that the score is 1-1, sort of, kind of, but it's actually 0-0. These guys will need to play like 6 games of Carcassonne. Crafty saying they're playing so fast with lots of time on the clock. But maybe they're doing so because they feel like they are under time pressure. You know, because they've selected the wrong settings. I do feel like the refs should be interfering here because there are other teams' interest at stake. So let's say like objectively, of course, like we don't want to be evil or something, but all the other teams in the same group with Japan and Slovakia, they want for Japan and Slovakia to do bad and to do games. And so they don't want Japan and Slovakia getting some advantage by playing a time control that they like better. They kind of, you know, they want them to play with the time control that everybody else does under the same conditions. So I can definitely see other teams in this group being unhappy should the result of this game stand. But that's something interesting about this fast play, right? Because Blue, I've played with Mate 11 before, and he just always plays fast. But Red is actually quite a slow player, and it does feel that here Blue has forced Reds into some more comfortable waters for him and winning the psychological battle. Because you know that if a slow player is playing fast, it's not what they normally do. I think they're doing so just because Blue is influencing them. And I'm wondering if them selecting the wrong time control is part of some master plan or not. Probably not. Probably it's an honest mistake because they always play with like fast or normal time controls. But let's see here. Let's just focus on the game, not on the time controls. Well, Red is probably winning this one. He has a lot, and Blue has overfarmed here, which means that the way you win this game is Red, you ignore the field and you just build something else. Because you already have an advantage on the scoreboard. Okay, 6-12. Yeah, Blue is just a couple points ahead. Red is a couple points ahead, and Red has lots of meeples in hand to work with. So I think as Red, you gotta... Wait a minute, there's no way... Oh, man. Yeah, you actually can't place this tile productively. That's super interesting. I think you just have to like dump the city cap here because there's no good place to start a new city. Potentially here, but that's in your opponent's field, and it's also kind of blockable from here. So he does choose to start a city, and he probably found like the lesser of all evils. But you see the problem here now, Red is growing Blue's field, which will make Red forced to fight for Blue's field, which will probably make it easier for Blue to win the game because Blue has already 2 farmers on the field. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. So now the win condition for Red has changed. Red has probably still have to equalize this field. Okay, well, 1 farmer is coming here. Where's the other farmer? Maybe from here? That's actually not such a bad idea. But with this tile, knowing Should, seeing him play, I know that every fiber of his being wants to play that move. I was about to say that. I was about to say he loves that kind of stuff. He loves breaking opponent's cities using the triple city tile. Yep. I see all of you in the chat are saying that red has to fight for the field, which was not the case before, but it is the case now. Look at that. Red is controlling blue's road. At the same time, blue's probably happy to keep this road as it is, just so that red doesn't get into the field. However, there's a world where red amasses some points elsewhere. For example, by getting a second monastery, blocking everything here, not caring about the field again, and just preserving the 3 points from this little farm over here, and that's pretty much it. It's also quite possible, especially if red manages to limit the farm, road over here, road over here, road over here, road over here, and then suddenly you can't drop any cities here. This is a strong move, I think. So blue decides to block his own field. Very interesting. Maybe the idea for blue is to just preserve the 12-point lead in the field, not grow it, but make sure that it has fewer attacking spots. However, I feel that because of these 2 monasteries, it will not quite be enough to win. So blue will need a much bigger field. However, there is another possibility. Blue just saved his city. Again, the same thing that we saw in the 2 previous games. There are still 2 tiles that fit here. And if blue manages to complete this city, that's already like 12 more points on his scoreboard, but it ain't gonna happen because of course red is going to place over here. Red will just need to choose between connection and blocking, and probably here blocking is actually the better option. If you turn the triangle like this, nope, that's, I think, quite a heavy miscalculation here. Look at this, because like 1 2 3 4 5, there are no Doritos with a road. So by turning like this, we would have made sure as red that blue is not able to finish a city with 1 move. They would oh, come on, this has to be a huge mistake. What are you, with 2 minutes on the clock, man. Red is meepling this valuable 1-point city. Getting meeple back from the monastery. There's a nice 4-point road up for grabs. Who is the first person to grab it? We don't know, but the field is growing. Blue is prepared to fight for it, and red is also fighting for it, but blue was still going to have the upper hand. It does seem to me that these moves, like, it's such a big mistake. Oh my god. Sorry about that. I shouldn't be reacting that way, but the move here for blue is always to do this and drop a farmer. Like, that was just such a lucky sequence that blue managed to do twice in a row. You always finish a city cap and draw the farmer. With so many city caps drawn, this spot was super vulnerable, but blue, of course, gets bailed out by the deck. But I'll try to go from giving unsolicited advice to just announcing the action. So here, this rune is growing as a result of red's generosity to blue. Red could have prevented that, and if red loses this game, that will be something to think about in a team analysis session. And yet red somehow managed to equalize the field, sort of, kind of. What does red do here? Field connection? Or 5-point road? Or some sort of weird block over here? Very interesting. I'm not going to give advice. I'm just going to announce the action. So we are getting real content here because Blue is going all in with his last meeple on the field. He's saying, I'm going to win this field with a 4-3 majority. I don't care about scoring anything else. Actually, I do. I'm going to get a meeple back. And then I'm going to win the game that way. Should does not get a tile against that. We'll probably have to dump it somewhere or meeple a monastery, but we may be way past that point. I'm not sure meepling a monastery will actually increase Red's win probability in any way, but we'll see. Okay, yeah. I do see in the chat that Kirill is pointing out certain differences. Okay, I'll try to like be less critical of players. But also, like, I think, okay, I want to make it destructive as well. Finishing this city earlier was so urgent, it was so crucial for Blue's game, that not doing so, especially making that decision in 2 seconds, seems like an unnecessarily huge gamble to me. But okay. Will Red take 3 points? Will Red attack the field? I do see a nice juicy field connection spot, but not that one. 1, 2. Okay, this has to be, this is, okay, guys, I can't do this. It was a massive mistake. Like, it's so obvious, man. Take this tile, put this over here, and drop a farmer from this side. Then this square is protected, and Red would have been already in the field and chilling. There were so many straight lines remaining. I can't stay silent, guys. It was, again, Red could have, you see that, right? Triple city, farmer here, road here, extra 3 points. I don't know, man. Red is normally a very strong player, but they do seem to be possibly losing the psychological battle against the Slovakian who's playing super fast. But you have 2 minutes on the clock. You don't have to play super fast. So now they will be forced into something awkward like this. And I'm not even sure there are curves remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, there's one. But this is so blockable. Yeah, and look at this. This is also blockable. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was right. There's still one remaining. So, actually, now, if Red gets a straight line, let's just check the straight lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there is one straight line remaining. By the way, the reason why like the drawings look a little bit off just because it was sloppy, okay? Red places a straight line over here and another farmer, and then with one curve brings 2 more farmers in, but it's not going to happen because Mate here quite wisely blocks this farmer, all of which would have been preventable had Red just listened to me, okay? Oh, Crafty's saying that I missed the 8 straight line. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see it. I don't see it. No. I was right. Here's the 8th straight line. Please don't make me think that I'm hallucinating. Oh, Red gets bailed out by the deck. They go for a risky 50-50 and they still get it. Well, there was still this field connection was still live. Of course, with a much lesser probability. Is Red actually winning this? Red may be actually winning this. So Red wins the coin flip. I think a coin flip that was kind of unnecessary. We're gonna refresh real quick, well, I said we're gonna refresh real quick. Why that doesn't work? Yeah, red wins quite convincingly with plus 11. But again, at the end, it was just a coin flip for entire game. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about this, but this is very interesting. Carcassonne is not just objective game with tiles. There's also psychology. You're playing against a person. You're not just playing tiles. And I think here Blue managed to do that excellently by, let's say, accidentally messing with the game settings, and by playing very fast, they've really thrown Red off. And Red, as a result, was making mistakes that they wouldn't make. Of course, Blue lost the duel, but at least in a difficult position, Blue got himself a 50% chance to win, where it should have been like a 5% chance to win. So yeah, congratulations, Blue, for showing ourselves some psychology things in Carcassonne, and congratulations to Should for reasserting Japan's dominance. This was probably the key matchup. If Slovakia were to win this match, Mate would have to be the one who brings the point. This may still happen because, again, the result of this duel, according to the championship rules, should be void unless, in case of, for those of you who are just joining, because they played with the wrong timing settings. Oh, you're saying to move the board to the left, right? Like this? Like this? Like this? I don't know. Mate saying 2-1 for you. You play very good. Yeah, but you're gonna have to replay again. Okay, so which pair do you want us to watch next? In the meantime, Japanese gets their first big point. The first player with a screen name EQ has kept a clean slate and won against Jack 1 Lisk. That's probably how you pronounce it. I have no idea. By the way, EQ is one of the few Japanese players whom you not have selected for your Fantasy 5s, possibly something that some of you might reconsider after this stream. Yeah, imagine Mate now telling to Should, now let's play for real. Yeah, it is quite possible. We're just gonna watch Keithra here, because they're so good, I just want to enjoy their game. It doesn't matter whether it's close or not. We're going to see some good moves. But it does look that the game is closer between the Japanese and the Slovakian than one might expect. Not only are they roughly even on their scoreboard, Red has the meeple advantage. Black has a measly 1-point road over here. Red has the field control for 9 points over here, which is quite nice. Although Black does draw one of Red's tiles for over here, and actually Black might just place it over here, score 4 points, and bring in the third. Oh, it's not the third, it's the second. I'm hallucinating. Now I'm actually hallucinating. So Black gets bailed out by the deck over here, because Red really needed that tile, and now this field connection is dead, because look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of the starting tiles are out, so there's nothing that fits in that square, okay? And this meeple will be left forever stranded with 3 points. Still beats a 1-point road, but now it will be, in fact, harder for Carpenter here to win. I've also noticed, like, what's the trend? Most of Slovakian players have numbers in their screen name. Mate 11, Carpenter 45. Black has a nice 10-ish point city, 10-ish, 12-ish. I'm too lazy to count. And it does look like the game is headed Black's way now. Especially now that Keithra is completing his city. But that's what he always does. Like, he make it seems like the game is close, when actually he's setting up for some high-impact tiles that are inevitably going to come in the future. And now they came. And now Black is convincingly winning. By the way, this is how the proper time control looks, right? 253, 242. That's interesting. So you say you have to say Slovak rather than Slovakian, but isn't there a different word? Because like I would say Slovak when referring to somebody's ethnicity, and I would say Slovakian when referring to somebody's nationality. So I don't know. I would say Slovak for like somebody who maybe lives in Czech Republic but speaks Slovakian as their first language, and I would say Slovakian for anybody who has a Slovakian passport. But do let me know if I got it wrong. Both players are getting inspiration from multiplayer Carcassonne and building this shared city, which actually, now that I noticed, duh, is not that shared at all. 1, 2, 3 meeples for red, and 1, 2 meeples for black. If red gets a triangle, does red overtake black? It is actually quite possible. So let's, while black is thinking, let's just count up some triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, excuse my drawing over here. Well, there's still one triangle remaining, unless I missed something. It is quite possible. And there are no splitters remaining. So 50-50 for red to potentially make a massive upset in this game. The triangle city will decide the duel. Okay, is that a road triangle? Or is that, I think that's a regular triangle. Okay, just hang on a second. I'm gonna try and nope, not that one. That one. Okay, got it. No, I still don't draw it just yet. Okay, I want to paint it, and now red has to defend. Wrong triangle. Hey. Okay. Oh yeah. Never mind. Of course, this triangle. Yes. So red here should now spend. Oh no! Should not do that. Well, that's okay. It looks like the rating that they're fairly newer players, so I'm actually not going to be as critical as them. I was critical in the previous game because those two players were masters, right? But here, of course, red needed really bad to protect the city and to preserve the 50% chance. The monastery had to go here, but now, of course, this square is unfortunately completely eliminated. Well, Raf is saying that red is still ahead. By how much? I can't count points anymore. Well, this ruin is still a ruin, though. Well, at least it's going to be some consolation for red that black drew the critical tile anyway. Or was that like a 200 IQ move from red? Did red calculate that red did not need to finish the city for win? If it's like that, then it's just incredible, and I absolutely retract my criticism. But yeah, but hopefully if red does lose the game, it will be a bit of a learning experience for them about defense of meeples and tile tracking and stuff like this. Okay, so y'all are saying red might still win with the farms, right? Well, red has 9 points on the fields. Red does have a lot of ruins. There's this one and this one. And black has a bit of ruins. And of course, the glorious 1-point road. Which, by the way, is it even finishable? Let's see. No, he had to move, he had to move, he had to move. So Carpenter here. Had to put the road monastery over here. And to try and bring in this city into his field. Meeple-less play. Watch my last puzzle video about meeple-less play. Actually, that wasn't a good example. Watch my next puzzle video that's going to come out next week. About meeple-less play and fields and stuff. Let's see. I'm not going to comment. I'm just going to watch. 2 points over here. Of course, I'm rooting for red here, because then this means they will play a decider, and then we get to watch more Carcassonne. Now, I'm not going to refresh. Don't tell me the results. We're going to just wait and make the points count out themselves. $66. 6. But there's going to be a 3-point field. I think he's going to have it by 2. Red's going to have it by 2. Is that the case? No, black wins by 1 point. That is spectacular. It was indeed quite difficult for the Japanese master to take down the Slovak. Kind of Slovakian sounds right to me. I don't know. Newcomer. But at least it was a clutch ending, okay? So now Slovakia will need to try get on the scoreboard somewhere else. They already lost the match, I think, but tiebreakers will be important. There's no shame in losing to Japan 2-3, right? So will that happen? Well, we do see that there's an upset actually on table 2 that the player with the screen name, again with more numbers, speed something something something, had won against Hero. I don't know how you pronounce that, but the one of the few Japanese players whom you have not selected for the Fantasy 5. Seems that your choice is now working out. But of course, we're going to watch now Pyro's game. Many of you, several of you have selected Pyro for the Fantasy 5. So I will see that many of you will be rooting for the Japanese player. But of course, some of you will be rooting for the Slovak, because, you know, it's always fun to root for the underdog. And look at that, blue just completed a 4-point city, but of course, red is now making a mistake, in my opinion. I think you always block blue's meeple here. So what I would have done, and actually what is probably the better move, is just to place the curvy tile over here, and make sure that blue doesn't get his meeple back. Meeples are valuable. Even though I tend to put meeples on places and lose them, at least I make sure that they give me points. But in general, I try not to lose them. So blue is now doing great, I think. All blue has to do is just start a new city somewhere. Yeah, that's also an option, trying to play it safe and connect. Actually, I rather like it. Red has a city up top, which works really nice for them. But I think a lot of this game will be determined by the timing of the tiles. So who will be the first to get a meeple advantage? Will blue get a road monastery over here? Will blue get a road tile over here and try to attack the city that red is about to snatch? Meeple over here, meeple over here. This will make this guy in the middle very, very sad. There are still 7 tiles that fit in this hole, which is really, really a lot in Carcassonne. So maybe red draws that first. Red is now trying to win a little mini battle over here. If this square gets blocked, then red will have 4 points and blue will have 1 point. And 4 minus 1 equals plus 3 for red. All these small things add up. And if there's one thing that the Japanese team is good at, it is creating these little meeple mini battles. But of course, it's not one thing that they're good at. They're good at many other things. One thing that they're not good at is checking whether the time settings are right for the match. But you know, everybody will learn eventually. Oh, actually, yeah. Oh, the fourth Slovakian player, Jack One Lisk, has also the #1 hitting in this name. That's true. Interesting. So, Raf is pointing out that if blue were to get a road monastery, which of course sounds fantastic, this square would become super vulnerable next to the monasteries because 3 daggers, so the 3 tiles over here, are out. And red could put something like this, like a city piece, to make sure that black doesn't get his meeple back. Because black cannot get his meeple back, because black is not participating in this game. I meant blue, but I'm also very proud of myself that I lasted an hour without mixing up colors. So I try to improve as a streamer. I hope I have gained your trust. Well, anyway, the situation for blue is now looking very, very difficult. Blue doesn't have meeples, and the problem is all the meeples that blue can get back require road tiles, right? That's a road meeple, that's a road meeple. The monastery has to be built up with roads. So if blue gets a city cap, then they just have to be wasted, and that's very unfortunate. Also, red draws one of blue's tiles. Of course, there's also the Hail Mary. Blue could draw this, or blue could draw this. But these are only a couple of tiles, and in all likelihood, actually, what Pyro should do is exactly this block that Raf in the chat was talking about. So this monastery, officially deceased. This meeple is not coming back. You can even imagine that this meeple is not there. Well, it is there. It is going to give blue 8 points, but that's about it. What blue needs now desperately is meeples. Where is he getting them from? Probably from tremendous amounts of luck, but there is absolutely a path for blue to get back into the game. Watch this. Monastery with the road goes here to pre-build a road end. Then blue gets a starting tile and places it here, gets a meeple back. Then blue wins a coin flip for this city and scores 10 points. And blue is right back into the game, right here, right then. Then blue draws this, and blue is back in the game with even more points. And then blue drops a farmer, and just wins the game completely. Which is why that was a clever move here by red. So the thing that I was talking about, red actually understood and placed this move to prevent that. Because look, blue did draw the tile that I was talking about, but now blue did not place it over here because this would be finishing red's city. So it looks like these 2 meeples are exchanged and they're stuck here for quite a long time, if not forever. It does seem to me that as Matishek, you would need to place this tile over here and block the square, because even though it blocks your own meeple, it hurts red much more. And so now the path back into the game for blue looks much thornier, but it's possible. Crossroads over here, triple city over here, quadruple city over here. Let's say 2 out of 3. Let's say if you draw a meeple first, then this triple city comes with a farmer, maybe. And then you connect it to the farm like this. You win 12 points. Everything is possible. I've recently learned that there are so many comebacks in Carcassonne. Some of them have to do with fields. Some of them have to do with monasteries. Some of them have to do with cities. And even some of them have to do with roads. So just don't give up. Yeah, just don't give up. Look, blue is not giving up. Blue now scored 4 points and got a meeple back. And now blue will try to get another meeple back and fight for the field. Which is why you see what the Japanese player is doing. The Japanese player is anticipating everything, every threat that the Slovak could create, and just does it himself. He's saying, okay, you're preparing to pre-build the city, I'm gonna meeple it. You're preparing to attack the field, I'm gonna attack the field myself. And red doesn't even bother connecting to the field. Red, of course, I can empathize with greed, scores 4 points for the city, and saying, there are still a lot of tiles to connect to the field, I'm just gonna do it later. Red in total control. It does seem so. Again, still possible comebacks, guys. Well, if this tile were drawn by blue, then a comeback would have been possible. Now it looks increasingly hard. Yes, quadruple city tile content, but it's only a matter of a couple of points here, unfortunately. Red very cunningly not only takes 2 points, but also blocks a field entrance. I have to say, red is playing this one really well. He's also getting the tiles. There was one move which I disagreed. Like, this meeple could have been blocked much earlier, but this city worked out quite alright, didn't it? Red did achieve a long-term meeple advantage, and it's now completely paying off. Hi, Bernardo. Now it's a good moment to remind you to meeple the like button, unless you have to. It does help with the algorithm a lot. We absolutely want to bring more people into competitive Carcassonne, because competitive Carcassonne is awesome. And also, I want to share with you something. I would really want for competitive Carcassonne to develop not just a mind sport, but also as a spectator sport. So if I have any viewers that do not play Carcassonne, but just watch the Carcassonne match, please let me know. Make yourself heard. Well, the quadruple city tile also goes to red. So, to add insult to injury, not only these 2 meeples will be stuck, but also they're in a losing mini battle. 2 city points versus 5 city points from these pieces. And that's another little advantage for red that will accumulate and make the score in this game quite formidable. So here's why I actually thought about Carcassonne having the potential to become a spectator sport. I recently started watching a small competitive Scrabble creator. His name is Mac Meller. Yeah, you can probably find it. He has like 200 subscribers, but this channel is blowing up. I'm not a competitive Scrabble player. Like, I played Scrabble a little bit, but you know, I didn't spend time memorizing all the words and all that kind of stuff. But even though I don't play that game, the content is super entertaining. And I was wondering if something like that is achievable with Carcassonne. Yeah, so if you do have a friend who you think might be interested to watch that kind of stuff who doesn't play Carcassonne, do let me know. Also, do we have any competitive Scrabble players here by any chance? Also, do my viewers even know what Scrabble is? It's like a game where you make words and then you get points for those words, and you get more points if you strategically place letters
into the right places, or if you make longer words and stuff. But back to the game. Red is trying to complete the field connection. Not that he has to do that to win, but by creating another threat, he steals time from blue so that blue is not able to create threats of his own. So for example, now, instead of adding one more point to his road and making it slightly safer, blue was forced to start some sort of block over here. You know how in football they sometimes say the best defense is attacking? In Carcassonne that works very, very often. So for example, if you're trying to protect your field, sometimes the best way to protect it is just to drop another meeple. If you're trying to protect your meeple from blocking, sometimes the best way to do that is to threaten and block your opponent's meeple. Then either you both block each other, or you both get a meeple back. Yeah, but Red just loves creating threats. Red probably won't even bother defending, will just take 5 points over here for maximum greed. Okay, well, they get a little bit of conservatism over here, but it's only because the value of this move is also 5 points. They're scoring 2 points for the road now, and they will score 3 points for this little piece, and this will give them 5 points in total. That efficiency is just spectacular. Oh, Kaika is saying Scrabble is like Carcassonne with words. There's a lot of similarities, and if anything, by watching competitive Scrabble content, it helped me actually learn something about Carcassonne a little bit. Something that has to do with openings. I might mention it in one of my future videos. Oh, hi Vika, who's saying she's more of a Carcassonne spectator. Great to know that the thing that I mentioned before is sort of working out. Well, finally, Matashek got his meeple back, but it's probably a little too late. Red in all likelihood will just score 5 points over here for even more roads. Yes, this field is re-attackable, but not many meeples to do so, and not many moves to do so. Probably going to see a 4-point move over here, or a farmer. That's also quite legit. Will not be enough to win the game, but it's an honest effort. It does seem that playing against a 3-time world champion was quite intimidating. Well, Pyro is not a 3-time world champion. I think they're 1-time world champion. Japan is a 3-time world champion. Yeah, Pyro joined only last year, I think. Red is collecting his final 3 points for the farm, probably saying something like GG. Let's see if Blue responds. Blue drops a curve just somewhere because there were no productive moves, and it does look like, is it going to be plus 40, plus 50? I don't know, plus 40-ish. A convincing win for the Japanese player and a convincing win for Japan. But it's not over yet, because there will be, well, some sort of decision that the dispute arbitration zone will have to make about the wrong time controls for the Mate versus Should matchup. And, you know, if they rule that a replay needs to happen, then Slovakia might get 1 more point. But I still have to congratulate Slovakia on that one duel that they won. It's really hard to play against Japan, and also they were outrated on every table. And they still managed to win a duel and come close in another duel. And at the end of the group stage, it will matter for tiebreakers. I believe this concludes the matchup. It says 4-1. So we're going to start talking about other things. Since some of you are joining just now, I need to remind you, as I will remind you almost every stream, that I am giving away a copy of Citadels with extra competitive rules from Alexey that are not in the instruction manual to the winner of Fantasy Carcassonne. In order to participate in the Fantasy Carcassonne game, you have to pick a team of 5 players from different countries, preferably, who are participating in the World Team Carcassonne Online Championships this year and who you think are going to perform best. For full term and conditions, visit the video which is linked in the description below somewhere. Since our last stream, many more of you have submitted their lineups, so actually I might even share. I will need to leave you for like 20 seconds because I need to do something. Oh, so Marishek is saying not good card for me, which is actually partially true, but if you ask me, I like to never point out anything about luck for my opponent. Because, you know, like, as red here, what do you respond? Like, if you're saying to the winner of the game, hey, you got lucky, what you're essentially saying is that you didn't really play very well, or like, you don't deserve this. I wouldn't do that. Okay, it does seem that Blue here meant this with in a kind of light-hearted fashion, but well, I've expressed my views about luck many times on this channel. The Brazil match is in 14 minutes indeed. We do have some time to do some stuff before that, so I wanted to show you the fantasy teams that y'all have selected. I will just need to just add one more window capture. How does that work? Okay, Fantasy 5. Okay, and then I need to select something here. Okay, does that work? Yeah, I think so. I think you should be able to see something on the screen. Something here. Maybe just a little bit lower, like this. Yeah, already. So that was kind of the idea over here. As you see at the top, there are all the different players that have been selected for Fantasy 5. You've selected a lot of Japanese player. As you can see, you've selected Keithor 15 times. I'm not sure if it's actually like big enough or anything. No. Well, hopefully you can see some of that. So Keithor has been selected 15 times. Actually, we gotta update that Keithor won his game of 2-0 and should. Well, I'm not gonna update should for now. You've selected should a lot of times. You've selected Alexey LV a lot of time, which of course super flattering and puts a lot of pressure because now I can't lose. Someone you know is the one who has been selected a lot. Obviously, a incredibly strong player from Team RCP. Mikhail Rus from the same team has been selected by you 6 times. Interestingly, nobody selected Eku from Japan, so some of you might reconsider. There's still a week left to do that, and a couple of Brazilian players have been selected by some of you. So somebody's betting on Conde Berna, who is, I think, playing today, and also on Theus, the recent champion of Brazil, or the last year champion of Brazil, who is, I believe, also playing today. I don't remember. I will have to look at the lineups later. And 30 of you are participating. So yeah, if you wanna participate, there's still a week to do that. Also need to remind you that if you want to change your selection, if your Fantasy 5 starts losing, you can still do that until April 23, but then you have to do that in a separate comment. Do not just edit the comment that you left under the original video, because I will not be able to see the edit. But if you do change your Fantasy 5, then that means that the timestamp of your comment will also change, and the timestamp is the tiebreaker. So should two of you select the same Fantasy 5, the person who selects it earlier and makes the submission earlier takes the win and the game of Citadels. Alrighty, so we still have 40 minutes until the game. Probably the most rational thing to do would be just take a 40-minute break, but it's not going to happen. I kind of thought that the Japan match would last longer, so I didn't really plan anything for the next couple of hours. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just analyze a game from table number 2. I just want to see how exactly the Slovakian managed to defeat the Japanese favorite. And those of you who are interested are welcome to stay, and those of you who are not interested are just welcome to come back in 40 minutes for the Brazil match. So Speed 951 was the screen name, right? Oh, clutch win with 2 points. We have to watch that, guys. We have to watch that. And they've crossed the 400 threshold. Okay. So, and we're going to watch this from the perspective of the Slovak player. Of course, turning on the completely legal analysis script, because it only works for game analyses. It wouldn't turn on during a live game. And Red won despite Blue being the starting player, so natural moves for now. Okay, well, let's see what happens over here. Red trying to connect to the city, but Yellow getting the advantage from a monastery, and yet Red somehow won. Red is finishing a road. So far, both players are playing naturally. Nothing unexpected here. And Yellow is doing great. Yellow is building up his monastery. Red, of course, very wisely, not only takes 2 points, but blocks this sensitive square over here. Well, not blocks, but really restricts. Because now, the thing with these partial blocks, it's not that you are preventing your opponent from getting a meeple back, is that they will not have to build awkwardly. So they can't fill this square before they get a curve here. Because let's say if they fill this square, then Red gets something like a triple city tile, scores 3 points for this road, and then blocks this square with a city piece. So partial blocks are actually quite powerful, but it's normally the Japanese team that's good at these kind of things. And now you see some execution here from the Slovakians. Start a new city, at the same time threatening to block. Blue doesn't draw. Oh, I did this again. I don't know where the blue is coming from. I don't know. Maybe if we have a psychologist that is an expert in color words, please explain why this is happening. I meant, of course, Yellow does not draw a defense and is forced to make do with 2 points. Red here completes the block very wisely and meeples the road. I like how Red is playing, to be honest. They now complete the connection. Well, but this cluster here is quite vulnerable. Let's see if they manage to get away with it. But still, Yellow is in a good position. They draw another monastery, and now they will be able to build up this road like this, like this, like this, and then finish it with another monastery. And by the way, whenever I see this configuration, the next ideal 4 tiles are turn, straight line, crossroads, monastery. And whenever I place a monastery like this, I already imagine the next 4 tiles going like that. DVQ is asking, may I upload my Fantasy 5 here? No, actually, so it's very important. I'm gonna miss it. Just go to the video in the description and then leave the comment under that video, not under this video. There's a link somewhere down below. Oh, thank you, Bernardo, for pointing out that there's going to be a substitution in Team Brazil. Bob Reynolds is replacing Rodrigo Amorim. Hopefully everything is okay with Rodrigo. But we are carrying on with the analysis. Yellow is trying to block Red's road, but Red ain't having it. Yellow is getting extra points for his road and monastery, so for something natural. This move by Red I'm actually not a fan of. It sort of double blocks the monastery. It's kind of like kicking a dead person, you know? It's like, you are not getting your meeple back. No, you're double not getting a meeple back. But what this does is actually it makes the red meeple here vulnerable, so not a huge fan of that over here. And this is exactly what happens, Red immediately gets sort of kind of punished. Well, not punished, but like 25% punished, because there's still 2 tiles that are left over here. And knowing the outcome of the game, I'm pretty sure he's getting one of those. So maybe that was part of a brilliant plan here by Red. Red is just snatching a city away, and not much what Yellow can do. Yellow should probably just get compensation in monasteries. Good move over here, no need to panic. And now Red is one tile away from finishing. It is now impossible to productively connect to this city, because let's say if Yellow draws a city piece that can help him connect, then Red immediately blocks. And if Yellow blocks, then Red immediately will have a defense with a curve. So it's actually quite likely now that Red will be able to finish a city. Here, as Yellow, I don't know, maybe you actually have to go here? Because there's no, well, you could also take 2 points as Yellow. Finishing a road like this is not ideal because you're breaking up your monastery, or taking 2 points here is not ideal. So actually I think the move is really to go here. Yeah, let's see if it does that. Well done, well done. No greed. Just make sure that it is harder for Red to finish the city, and, you know, that's pretty much it. Yeah, the city is pretty important. Monumental greed over here. Instead of protecting the city, Red decides that, you know what, I have enough points over here. It's 9 points, I think. It's like a little field. So I'm just going to give myself some chances of completing it, and then in the meantime start a new city. I don't hate this move, to be honest. I think you can play like this. Probably a bit unnecessary, but I'm surprised why Yellow didn't do something about this city. But let's see. Red just calmly gets some points. And Yellow just can't seem to draw a blocking tile. All Yellow needs to do is draw some sort of straight road. Both sides are just completely ignoring this city. Well, now Yellow is saying, okay, you know, you're not going to block me, you're not going to try to connect. I guess I'll just proceed with it. Again, completely ignoring the city. So I feel I see where this game is going. If anything here, it was justified. It's actually not the best tile to attack. Red is just scoring quick points. And this is a double move, edged move by Yellow. And if anything, I don't like it. It looks like you're blocking the city, but you really aren't. And the city is now so big that you don't need to block, you need to connect, probably. I think as Yellow, I would be looking to secure my road over here, near the 20. And then just wait for a city tile until I can attack. Because the thing is, Blue is still 2 tiles away from... Oh. Blue is an infinite number of tiles away from completing the city because Blue is not partaking in this game. But Red is 2 tiles away from completing the city. So let's say if Red were to draw something over here, we can still block later, we can still attack later. But now, Red can draw a triangle here, and there's still 3 of those remaining. And then this city will be completely secured. There will be nowhere to attack or block it from. And red will have 75% chance of sometimes drawing this triangle and completing the city and completely clinching the game here. On the other hand, imagine that this curve is not there. If red were to build the city from this side, well, there's still this square over here for yellow to try to either block the city or to connect to it through a tube-shaped extender like this. So this move, while it looks like it somewhat bothers red, it actually helps red more than it helps yellow. So when you try blocking, just try to think, how exactly are you hurting your opponent? Try to envision what kind of tiles could come to those squares and then decide whether to block or not and how to block if you choose to block. Yeah, Kaika is saying blue. I know. I've said black, I've said blue, I've said... The only color I haven't said is green. Also, very interesting here. Did you notice that when I miss colors, I say the wrong colors, sometimes those which are not even in the game, but I only ever say those colors that are theoretically possible in Carcassonne. So I've never said like pink or orange. I don't know. Just little psycholinguistics observation here. Red is trying to block, which I rather like. Yellow is trying to block, which again could work, but imagine if you draw a triangle and the city is super secure. I understand this move though, but I felt like yellow needed to do something about this city much earlier. Now he's just picking the damage. Quite fortunate for yellow to have drawn a tile that gives him a meeple back immediately. Well, let's see what... Alright, red goes YOLO. Red says, you ain't gonna block me. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think maybe a better move was to still wait for a triangle. Still wait for the upper triangle first. To see whether or not you're gonna get blocked. And only when you get blocked... only when you know that you're not gonna get blocked, then you are okay with spending valuable tiles like this. So I think a little bit of a waiting move was in order. Maybe something like here, trying to connect to this city, not letting yellow taking 8 points. On the other hand, this move is putting pressure on yellow. Is saying, hey, this stuff is really time sensitive. I'm 1 tile away from completing. What are you going to do about it? And this will mean that yellow can't use any city tile over here. And there's some scenarios how red gets this city blocked, but yellow gets this city blocked because yellow won't have time to actually finish it, and yellow will need to deal with this threat. So we understand red's move here. I think it does seem a little bit greedy. And look at that! Yellow does not draw a blocking tile, and yeah, red gets kind of fortunate, but, you know, yellow ignored this city at their peril, and now they are getting a huge city. Kind of a theme for today's match, for Slovakians getting huge cities. Those of you who were here at the start may remember just the massive cities that the Play with a Screen Mate 11 built in all 3 games, I think. Well, not the third one, and yet still managed to lose the first game. So if anything here, I'm impressed how yellow actually managed to make this game this close. But I can see the answer how. It does look like the situation is desperate on the scoreboard, but it really isn't, because Monastery, 24 points at least eventually. Road getting meeple back. City getting meeple back. If anything, the position is like very close to being equal. Well, red can utilize his meeple advantage, so I'll give you that. Red gets a city meeple back. 5-2 meeple advantage, even more points. Yellow is getting a lot of curves, but the curves are serving him really well. Like this road plus monastery combinations are usually pretty powerful. Players who complain about luck very often complain about drawing too many road tiles, but it is on you to try and make the road tiles productive. And here, red excelled at that. Red is dropping another farmer in anticipation that if yellow gets the tile that finishes the city over here, well, red will be left with a 9-point field. Because 1 city, 2 city, and 3 city in all this field over here. Actually, I quite like this move by red. I mean, no, actually, no. The move is okay. I would have just taken this road because the road is quite long. You know, it's really good. But you could definitely play like this. And you see the road that wasn't taken by red is taken by yellow. Red is Kaika is suggesting that it could be better for red to take the right farm first. I think maybe not with this tile necessarily, because it's kind of small, it doesn't have a lot of potential. That said, there won't be a lot of scoring opportunities, but no, this 6-point farm, if you take it with a curve, then you are guaranteeing that it will stay at 6 points, because then everything will be closed. And these 6 points are easy to equalize, either by drawing one of the 2 remaining monasteries, as red just did right now, and they should meeple it over here. Or by simply drawing a city piece and taking a 6-point ruin. So I think this is actually a very common mistake that many players make. They meeple fields, while they are sometimes more valuable features on the board, like monasteries or long roads or ruins. Because like if you're placing a field meeple, you're not going to get the meeple back no matter what. You might just put it somewhere that gives you 1 more point. Alrighty? And you see now what can happen. Now that red has taken the monastery, the next move will be taking that field, but with tempo. So let's say you put a city piece over here, and then you drop a farmer, adding an extra point to your monastery. And then finally you have 2 green squares to drop city caps. And like if you get, let's say this little piece over here, you put a city cap, and then you get another city cap, and then you even finish your monastery, and then you get extra 7 points from your field. It's just points galore. But we will carry on. Yeah, exactly what I was talking about. Farmer stuff. Now, I love this field connection actually by yellow, anticipating that this city is going to get finished, and then he needs to equalize this field. But you see, yellow is already now in a position that he needs to take some risk. Or they. Because if this city is not finished and there's a 25% chance of that happening, well then yellow is completely lost. And then if they do connect, everything can happen. This city can also get blocked. So for example, I do see this tile still remaining. And if red draws it, red will score 2 points over here, creating a blocking platform with extra value, and get a city tile and then block this kind of meeple completely. Yeah, you see, and now red is dropping a city cap into his field, which is always dangerous. Excellent timing here for yellow. Yellow gets his city meeple back, but red gets to develop his field, and that's why it was so important to take this field with the right tile that gives us, you know, more squares and all that good stuff. That's a lovely move here by red. No, by yellow. Sorry about that, guys. So the idea here is yellow chose not to take the 4 points, but he chose to equalize the field and at the same time block the monastery, because there were still tiles, such as the one straight line, for example, that could have gotten this meeple back for red. 1 second. Kaika is asking, I wonder if it's possible to have a script to fix the colors of the meeples. I don't think there is a script to fix my stumbling upon words and mixing up the colors, but there sure is a script to change the colors the way you see them. So yeah, as Nico points out, the Spanish streamer with the screen name Juliana Apostata actually is playing with a script that makes his meeples look like a Spanish flag. It's pretty cool. So 12 more tiles. Creating quick points. And now here is yellow. I'm not sure what the points are, but knowing the fact that yellow lost, yellow could go for a risky move here. It's an interesting choice. Either you just complete the connection, but then red can reconnect and take this 12, potentially 15 point field away from you. Or, as yellow, if you are really far behind, which you may be, you can drop a farmer here and hope for the one last remaining starting tile that brings 2 of your farmers into this field through this critical square. Let's see if that is something that yellow did. They actually found it. I respect that move a lot, because you know, they recognize that they're behind, they need the 50-50, and let's see what actually happened in that game. So players just dump tiles. Red is attacking a different field, choosing not to take a 4 points. Red, I don't know what red can do here. Probably initiate some sort of block. I think that would be in order. But red doesn't do that. It seems that red wasn't kind of able to just find some productive moves. But this, of course, has to be a mistake. You have to try and block. And if anything, red would have been successful. You see all these powerful monasteries. Okay. Yeah, now red tries to block. One move too late, but yellow completes the connection. And it could have cost red the game, actually, but it didn't. Maybe because red had calculated that red had enough. And look at that. Yellow drew all the tiles, just everything. And yet red still won, as we will find out. How did that happen? Red had 3 monasteries. Red had a longish road. Red took over a 15-point field with a coin flip, which I really like. But I guess that yellow took over the field. But red was so far ahead on the scoreboard that it just didn't matter. It all came down to this city, which yellow ignored at his peril. Yeah, I think that was a deserved win for red. Even though I like how yellow played the endgame. I think they did that really well. They went into full desperation mode. They got everything that they needed, but it was just not enough. Yeah, so big cities, that's what win games, even against the field, even against monasteries. I'm gonna have a look now at what you're writing in the chat. Red should be yellow. I know. I'll try to take some rest before the next stream. Actually, I'm gonna do like a 5-minute break. I gotta get some water and change the scoreboard. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Do make sure to meeple the like button for the algorithm, or in case you're for the first time here and want to watch more stuff like this, we're going to be having probably multiple live streams per week during the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship and all kinds of other Carcassonne related content. So do subscribe if you intend to watch this kind of stuff more than once. But I'll see y'all in 8 minutes. Not 1545. I'll probably spend most of the break figuring out how to how to change this. I know how. I'm happy about this one. All right, see y'all in a bit. And we're back. So I've gotten a sufficient amount of hot beverages to last us through the Brazil-Hong Kong match. The reason why I picked Brazil-Hong Kong is, well, because it's going to be a very close match. I can't imagine any other result than 3-2 in either way. Also, Hong Kong has quite a new team. Brazil has quite a new team. At least I don't recognize many of the screen names on Hong Kong. I know pretty much everybody on the Brazil team, but many of them have not been on the team before. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but do let me know who you think is going to win or not. Also, Conde, Theos, Muye, and Vinny Lessa have been all selected by somebody to be on your Fantasy 5 teams. Whereas for Hong Kong, interesting, the strongest player and captain, Daniel Cheng, with the screen name LSC, is not playing, so that's an interesting decision right here. But they're all 500 plus players. Some of them reached expert like really recently, a couple of weeks, so I do not expect anything else other than a close match. In a close match. Interesting. I feel like I know what I'm forgetting. I want to just like move this thing. No, not this thing. Not this thing. This thing. The scoreboard in such a way that the R in Theus's name is visible. Very interesting. Is that good? I think that should be good. Maybe just slightly larger. Hopefully it will not obstruct the game. Okay, I want to move it a little bit like this. All right, but back to the stream. Yes, yeah, actually that's great. So Pablo Ribeiro is pointing out that Muye01 is a young talent of 15 years old. We'll definitely have a look at her game, and she probably is a future Brazil champion. Yeah, Japan won against Slovakia 4-1. So the game should be starting pretty soon. So we're just going to go... Who's going to be first? Who's going to be first? Well, why don't we just start looking at Muye's games, actually, since we started talking about her. Mu? Nope. Yeah, you see, I can't look for her because she has this thing over the E, and I'm not sure how to type that. So I have to look for her opponent. Helik. So they're preparing to play. Well, the match only starts in 1 minute. We're doing something on time that's just so unusual. Yes, there has been a substitution in Brazil. So instead of this player with a screen name Bob Reynolds, it was supposed to be Rodrigo Amorim, so hopefully everything is okay. No substitutions in Team Hong Kong. I'll just keep refreshing. I don't know what else to say. I've told you all about the Fantasy Carcassonne. I will mention it several times. Oh yeah, by the way, for those of you who joining just now, it was an interesting situation. So we've witnessed an entire duel between Mate11 and the Japanese player with the screen name Should. That happened with a wrong time setting, so we will have to see whether the organizers will rule that this has to be replayed or not. After this win, though, probably Japan will reclaim the title of the highest average ELO in this tournament. As I mentioned a couple of hours before, now China and not Japan by a couple of points has the highest rated players, surprisingly. Good morning, Sergio. Yeah, it must be morning in the Western Hemisphere, so for Brazilians it could be pretty low. Maybe Muye here is sleeping, so we might have to watch somebody else. Do let me know who you wanna watch. We'll probably have to watch Theus as well, just because he's the most recent national champion. Vinny Les is also a master, and they have quite a worthy opponent in the form of 5 CTs. Also, one thing that I like about Brazil, like most of the screen names are just name and last name, or they're just very honest and straightforward. Again, I've mentioned this before. I prefer real names over screen names. Although I'm pretty sure that Conde is not Bernardo's name. But at least it has Berna for Bernardo. And his game we will watch too. Actually, okay, I don't want to wait. We're going to watch Muya later. I'm a person who tends to change my mind quite a bit. Is Condes playing? Alright, let's go. And they're playing against another expert with a screen named Skyzerg. I'm not familiar with that player, but they're pretty close in their ratings. So it has to be interesting. And here, the Brazilian player will need to find some sort of comeback. It looks like the Brazilian player is 7 points ahead on the scoreboard. It looks like it's great. No, it's a very difficult position for green. You know why? Because of black's 2 monasteries. They will be built up very fast. You can't hold these monasteries with a Ukrainian technique because there's already a city piece here by black. And yeah, all you have to do as green is just amass points elsewhere. Maybe try to block this square somehow. This square is kind of sort of sensitive. Or just you can try and draw some monasteries of your own. Skyzerg here playing with fire a little bit. Actually, no, I'd rather like that move. Not only does it create a blocking platform for this meeple over here, it is pre-defending. Because in case green draws a triangle, then green will be able to do only a 50% block. But wait, now that I think about this, why didn't black just place the curve over here? Yeah, that's a better way to protect yourself. You're also making this meeple vulnerable and directly expanding your field. I don't know. Now actually this sort of stuff seems questionable, but it took me some time to see it. Bernardo now attacking the field. Very interestingly, at the same time, he's also making the field bigger. And I actually quite like the farmer, always here. And I actually quite like this strategically. Okay. Black decides that black does not want to spend meeples, and black might have to pay for it. It was such a good field connection spot, and the reason why you want to be using these field connection spots is because this field has already gotten valuable enough to be fighting for. There are still 5 straight lines to let you into the field, which also give you a meeple back, and then you wouldn't have to spend another move on dropping a farmer elsewhere. On the other hand, I understand black too. Black probably didn't want to spend their last meeple. Well, that wasn't their last meeple, that was the penultimate meeple. But maybe they figure that they need 1 more meeple for monasteries, and if they draw some more monasteries, they will put some more meeples. And maybe they figure that there's a world how they don't need the field to win. That's also quite possibly can happen if they finish the city. If they don't even have to finish all of the monasteries, they can just hold on to their lead as long as green's field doesn't grow too big. And Bernardo here is already anticipating how the game is going to progress. So they're building a city in their field, they know that they are more likely to control this field eventually than the opponent, so they're trying to make sure that the field is as big as possible. Black here with another monastery close to game winning at this point. How are you supposed to play against that? Now it kind of seems that the decision of black not to place a meeple here sort of paid. I'm so happy we picked this game. 5 monasteries in a row, all meeples over here, and it's completely worth it. Yes, I absolutely love the last meeple here because it's actually quite easy for black to get a meeple back. There we go, a meeple back like this. But actually, no, you have to be patient. Place this over here. Don't expand your opponent's field. Harass this meeple a little bit. Threaten to finish the city with 2 triangles. That would be super instructive moment where even when you don't have a meeple, got a little bit impatient here. I think as black, we wait for a curve and try to really strangle your opponent. Exactly, monasteries constant. Yes, Glavier, you called it. Black is drawing all the monasteries and we're here to witness it. Hugo is saying Conde can be family name. No, it isn't, because his family name is Silveira. I think it means something else. Afonso is saying hopefully that Rodrigo gets better soon. I hope so too. So do you know for a fact that the reason for the substitution is that he's sick? So green is blocking. Even with the blocks, these monasteries will be a powerful scoring machine. But this block was also not a complete block. There are still 3 tiles that fit into that square. And this is the reason. If black loses the game, this square is why. I called it before. I think the best move for black was to wait and to put the city cap over here, because now it will be harder to put something over here. Now there are only 2 tiles, and this move, even if black gets his meeple back, this development of this city/ruin will be sort of awkward. But you called it. Black got all 6 monasteries. Please meeple just for content. Even though it's correct not to meeple, please meeple just for content. He doesn't do that, so now I'm going to be rooting for green instead. How often do 6 monasteries for 1 person happen? I can tell you how often. Once every 64 games. And then you get the last one, are you not going to meeple it? Think about the viewers. What are you doing? Trying to win the game? We want content. Thanks for clarifying. So Conde is a nickname that Bernardo uses to play RPG, which means counts in English. Yeah, that makes sense. Kirill is specifying that the chances of that happening was 1.56%. Oh, look at these blocks. So I really like this move by Bernardo here. Even though it adds 2.2 points to black monasteries, it expands the field, and it is a Sophie's Choice block. Now it makes sure that black needs the same thing here and here. Never mind, I'm hallucinating. Okay, now I don't like this move that much. Actually, no, I don't like this move at all now. Yeah, no, don't do this, don't do this. I think a better move was just to take the city. It's not a Sophie's Choice block, because black needs a so-called... Okay, basically black needs different kinds of daggers here and here. Yeah, exactly. So all green ended up doing is just helping black build up the monasteries. But it's not over. Green can still win because of this big field. Which actually is still under black's control somewhat. Because you see, these two meeples, they need a straight line to enter. But black is not going to let you in. So if as green you draw a straight line, you will have to go through the humiliation of finishing your opponent's monastery yourself. Because look at this thing over here. Presumably black put it to make it harder for green to connect to the field that way. It's no longer possible to connect through this square because all the road monasteries are out, as are all other monasteries. And there are some daggers still remaining to fit in this square. I can see one only remaining, but there's only one. So really the safer field connection is through here, and this will give a little bit of help to black. Skyzerg, now thinking what to do with this city tile, chooses to take 5 points, initiates a block, but leave an empty city cap, but I think we're way past this point. So Bernardo, dilemma here. Do you connect to the field? No, you don't. He chooses to connect to the field again. But yeah, actually that makes sense to overfarm, because black will need to at some point attack this field, and now it's not really possible for black to do. But I mean, eventually you're gonna need to do that. However, I think what green is trying to do, green is trying to rely on a later curve. There's on a later straight line. There's still 5 straight lines remaining. Loving this partial block over here. Taking away 2 tiles from green. Skyzerg now can really mess up green city, which I think they should. It's worth doing more than just adding 2 points to yourself. And if anything, this city's still live. There's still 1 tile that fits here. Triangle. And then green's just cooking. Bernardo is starting another potentially 8-point city, but he's likely to be thwarted immediately by black with extra value. I assume this goes here with extra 2 points. He's of course deliberating. He's probably considering other moves such as continuing his city or just taking 2 points over here or over here. Let's see what he does. So Elias is saying that this thing was a Sophie's Choice block between the monastery and a city. Yeah, that's true. But I meant that it wasn't a Sophie's Choice block between this part of the monastery and this part of the monastery. Well, black goes here for the best move, preventing green from finishing his city quickly, but this green city is still live. So probably at some point, black will need to either kill it off completely or attack it, and black chooses to do so immediately, but there's this little free city cap that green can benefit from. But probably we're way past the point of being too precious about city caps lying around. It's really all about that big field, and how do you come back into this game against 23 points on monasteries? Kaika is asking, Sophie's Choice is referring to the plot of the movie Sophie's Choice, which I'm not going to ruin for you, even though like it's at the start of a movie, but you can look up the expression. Bernardo still having hopes of finishing this city over here, and he also grabs 2 points and 1 extra point for the city, so that was actually quite a powerful move. Skyzerg here, I think, with a massive misstep. You don't do that. You wait until your opponent does this for you. Have some patience, my man. That would have been more spectacular. But yeah, there are still tiles plural, 2 of those that go over here. So that was a great setup. And not only was that a setup to complete the city, that's also a setup to complete the block. And here is the reason why I really don't like black's move over here. Now, if green draws a straight line, green will be free to use the straight line to completely block off black's city. But had this situation been still unresolved, green would have possibly completed the monastery himself and then left this city meeple free to go. Bernardo is now really evaluating his field condition. He's probably choosing between 4 points over here, just dropping a divider on his field for more city cap points, dropping a divider here and hoping for a coin flip, or maybe even splitting off this meeple. He goes for the 4 points. Black can probably save one of his monasteries meeple here, or add 2 points to his city and indirectly protect his city, or just simply complete the connection with Bernardo's city to equalize this mini battle. He goes for option 2, that makes sense. Bernardo now gets a 10-point city and probably a 5-point road. It's obvious where this tile is going. I guarantee you the thing that green is thinking about here is whether to meeple that 5-point road. There are upsides and downsides. The downside, if you don't meeple it, well, you leave it for your opponent. The downside, if you meeple it, you get blocked. I think he now went for the better choice and didn't meeple the road, because actually all the 4 T-shaped crossroads with which this road could be immediately taken are discarded. The only way how one of the players can benefit from this road is actually a sequence of 2 tiles. One straight line over here, and then let's say a triple city with a road over here. That would be a 7-point move with a meeple back, but at least it would be a sequence of 2 moves, so it's not as likely to happen. In the meantime, Ronaldo, the substitute, won for the first match. We see that Rodrigo strategically got sick so that Ronaldo could confuse his opponents and win the game. And Theus also predictably won his first game. He would be the favorite. I'd say one of the strongest players in the Brazilian team at the moment. There's probably, like, I think 3 players who are the strongest. That would be Theus, Conde, and Vini. Yeah, there's these 3, and then there's anyone else, and then there's everyone else. Lots of big names are not participating in Team Brazil this year. There are some reasons for that we can talk about later, possibly. Melvin Quaresma is sitting this one out. Humberto Fukuda is sitting this one out, both the 2 highest rated players in Brazil. But probably at this point, they have enough talent to carry this championship. They have really invested in their youth. They have a young talent program. They have a mentoring program. They have not only a national championship, but all kinds of special live events, online events, summer camps, and like Brazil is really developing into a real Carcassonne nation. Even though they have not gotten the results they were hoping for in the last 2 World Team Carcassonne online championships, the World Championship is not everything. And well, they could still perform well this year. Bernardo now greedily taking a 4-point road and probably getting a meeple back from it, now thinking whether to meeple the city cap. It's an interesting decision. I think he should spend a full minute on thinking about that meeple. He decides not to play it safe. I do believe there might be still a city cap that finishes. Yeah, I think there is one. We'll see. So this 6-point city is up for grabs, but will that even be decisive? It might. Well, black is losing this big field for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cities, which is 24 points. It's a lot of points. It's more points than these 2 monasteries. So it does seem that black is losing this. It was quite hard to prevent a loss here. So yeah, so it kind of black goes into desperation mode as he should, trying to get extra 8 points for the city. He now has 6 points for the road up top. Here, he has 6 points for the ruin over here. Maybe together with the monastery, this could be close enough, but in order to win this game, black has to get a meeple back. Fighting for this field is really out of the question because there is only one connection spot that I can see, but in order to equalize this field, black would need to drop 2 more farmers. Just to highlight the camouflaging green farmers for you, there they are. There they are. And here's the third one, whereas black has only one. And look at this move from Bernardo. It's now preventing the much needed city completion here for black. There is still a tile that goes there, but there's only one tile. It's the dagger, but not that kind of dagger, this kind of dagger. With the right turn, the one that Conde Berne just got, and that's it. This should be the game. It was still an honest, valiant effort here by black. Black did what they have to do, but now we'll just have to watch the last couple of tiles play out without any particular hope for black. Or did I bury him too soon? What if he takes his meeple back? Will he be able to possibly take over the city somehow? Are there tiles remaining? And this city, by the way, is worth 9 points. It's going to be worth 11 points or 12 points after the takeover. And this might be just the difference that black needs. Probably not. Probably still not enough. But that we're going to be close. Maybe black had to conserve their meeple and risk by leaving the city open. Probably referring to this city over here. I don't think so, actually, because there were multiple city caps remaining. And putting the meeple here protects you from a scenario where your opponent gets city cap, because then you get the other city cap. I mean, there's merit in both moves, but the most important part is just you risk as much as you can. Whether a meeple or not, it's a secondary question. So Glovier is saying that green is ahead by 4. I'm gonna trust you. Is it really only by 4? Is the game really that? How on earth? What was that? Why did black not finish their road? Can somebody in the chat please explain this to me? I assume they were trying to clean off a city cap, right? But the question is, what city cap? Okay, are there regulars over here? Okay, there are 2 city caps remaining. But as black, you're not in a position to do that kind of stuff. You have to get a meeple back and just hope that your opponent, that you draw the city caps yourself. You have to have hope. That's the only thing that can save you now. Exactly. Alfonso put it way more concisely. He needs points, not clearing city caps. And the way you get points is you put meeples on things. And in order to put meeples on things, you need to get a meeple back from this road. This may have just as well cost the game for black. So I see it's okay. Black not counting tiles. That's very interesting. I mean, from even from here, I can see that there are no... Never mind. Yes, yeah, all good. That there are no starting tiles remaining. I mean, with 2:33 on the clock, I have to be extremely critical of this move. It's really not that hard to count the tiles. Okay, if it's hard for you to count the tiles, then just recount 5 times. Spend 2 minutes if you need to. Like, there's only 2 tiles remaining. So it does seem that black possibly just mentally has given up. So far, I see black losing 7 points. Well, they do get a city cap, which they can't use. And Bernardo will take a 5 points, 4 points ruin or something like this. They can't take the field. It's like the 6-point field on the here. It's a bit of a consolation probably for black, but not enough to win them the game. And black, in fact, wins the coin flip at the end for the favorable straight line. I do feel like this game was really close, but at the end, black just gave up. Psychologically, it seems to me. It could have been a bit closer. Again, I will exhibit some... Okay, I'm not going to exhibit impatience. We're going to watch all the points, how the shared features... And you know, like, when you're the side with the monastery, you always feel good because your points are counted first. But then the side with the fields, 24 and 6 at the end, then it crushes all your hope. And you know, sometimes when you're the side with the monasteries, then you even sometimes forget that your opponent has the field, and then the points are counted, and you go, oh, did I win? Did I win? And then your opponent gets like plus 30 for the field. Oh no, I didn't win. I didn't win at all. Yeah, so well done, Bernardo, here for taking down 6 monasteries. That very rarely happens, but it does feel that black helped them a lot. I think the key move here was actually this. If you ask me, black was too impatient to connect these farmers. And there was a world still, like there was a 6% chance or something at that point in time that green would never get these straight lines. Even preserving these extra 6% of equity is absolutely worth it to just keep the tension alive. And there were all kind of other consequences. Well, anyway, if somebody wants to analyze this game, you can probably do this in your own time. We ain't got time for that. We're gonna need to go to Vinilesa, maybe? Or to Muye. Yeah, let's go to Muye. Vinilesa is probably... We'll catch up for him. We wanted to start with... a game that we can watch from the very, very start. So the young Brazilian talent has now a 100% record in World Championship. In the World Championships, she has won every single game in all World Championships that she has ever participated. So far. Because it's her first Worlds. And she's doing not too bad, has a monastery. The player from Hong Kong is starting a new city and has 2 more points on the scoreboard. That's not bad. There is a little bit of a field fight brewing. And I've run out of hot beverages way too quickly for this one. Red chooses to start a new city away from the action, just so that this city is not getting harassed or blocked. Blue is starting a new road because, you know, what else are you going to do with a road tile? Road tiles are meant for roads. That makes perfect sense. And now let's see how greedy red is. If I were red, I debate between two moves. The first move is put it over here, and a meeple on the road, and pre-build the 6-point piece. But I think this move is actually weaker. Yeah, it's alright. It gives you 2 points. It harasses these two cities equally. But I think this is just so powerful. 2 curves. So it's an interesting thing about road ends. I think most of the time when people see a road end, a crossroads in particular, you're kind of, there's a light bulb in your brain that says 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. But there's often an option how you can get quick points not with 1 move but with 2 or 3 moves, and then you get much more. So what red is hoping now is that she's going to get another one of those and then build this 5-point road. But you see, because she didn't place this move in the previous move, she's now in a bit of a predicament. This square gets sensitive. Look at these starting tiles on the board. If blue gets some sort of city tile, then blue can really hurt this monastery meeple over here by making it almost trapped. And based on the openness of the position, it does seem that the meeple count will matter quite a bit because it's a field game. It does seem that red is probably lacking a bit of an experience here. This move does feel a little bit rushed because it's a square that needs to be filled in by monastery, if you ask me. And this is pretty urgent to save, so maybe the curve should have gone here instead. At the same time, I understand this move as well, because what red was thinking is that this square was vulnerable a little bit, you know, if blue gets a road and a city piece, then this square would be blocked. So now in terms of meeples, it's not that easy for red. Blue, in the meantime, is quite happy to take free stuff in the form of 4 points, has 2 more cities open, managed to connect to red city over here. Red is, in the meantime, quite wisely attacking these fields. And not only she's doing that, she's hoping to get a curve and then meeple this road as well. Which is why, as blue, you don't do that. You take this road, but you place it over here, and then you make red connect for you. Because what you've done now, you've actually made this people vulnerable. So there are very often situations where I agree with the ideas with both players. And they are, I think, quite wisely identifying the objectives they need to accomplish. But the execution can sometimes be, could have been a little bit more precise. So blue is paying for this hastiness, possibly with this meeple. It's still not blocked, still 3 tiles that fit here, but 2 more tiles and it will get blocked, so it is a little bit unpleasant. I can see that blue here has a lot of meeples on roads, and probably he wants to use this tile as a road tile. Maybe finish the city, this road, start a new one, or pre-finish this road and start a new city. I do not think blue should ever be putting this tile to the city here. And look at that, blue is saying that, yeah, I'll use this tile as a road tile, and on top of that, I'm going to take away the city from you and deliver you pain. It's certainly a playable move. It's quite entertaining for the content, I think. But it, of course, creates a very high variance position. Because I can see only 2 possible outcomes. Well, 3 possible outcomes. The sort of most neutral outcome is red gets a splitter, Blue gets a triangle, and they both end up with 6 to 8 to 10 point cities, depending on whether they're shields. But there's only one splitter remaining because there's one already used up over here, and this is quite unlikely to happen. What is more likely to happen is one of the two. Either Blue successfully takes over this city and delivers pain and some 16 points to his scoreboard, or Blue connects over here, but Red blocks over here, and this meeple remains trapped with 1 point for the rest of the game. These are really the two possible outcomes, quite polarizing and very possibly decisive. However, now that Red has drawn her monastery, I really like the position for Red. So she can probably even afford Blue stealing the city. She will have 16 or more points for these monasteries. She has just scored 3 points for this road, but even if she hadn't, it was a great place to pre-build this road, because let's say had Blue drawn this tile to get 5 points, there's immediately a blocking square. Of course, now there's only one reasonable move for Blue, and Blue plays this, protects the city, and actually now Blue has hopes in this game. Blue can get 4 points for the city, get his meeple back, and then maybe even get 5 points for this road in some scenarios. Red is building up her monasteries. Soon's going to have the meeple back and the meeple advantage, which, by the way, is kind of important because there's a big field brewing. You see, the reason why I like this monastery move over here is, well, not only because it's a monastery move, but also because it's expanding the field by a lot, which benefits the player who has more meeples and benefits the player who controls more fields. When it comes to meeple problems, this one will be a long wait. Still 88% chance to get it back sometime, but still a long wait. And this road needs 2 road ends to get completed. So probably if I'm Blue, I recognize that I need meeples to win this game. And maybe I go here and try to finish this road without a road end through a bunch of curves in a straight line. This move was attempting a block, but it does look like a bit of a desperate attempt. Red, of course, gets her meeple back, and it looks like she's in a commanding lead. Of course, everything can happen. So, for example, Blue could draw a splitter tile over here, then block this red meeple, then connect over here, snatch off at 16-point city, farmer every day of the week. I'm very surprised that Blue didn't drop a farmer here. Perhaps Blue was afraid to get blocked. But actually, this field connection is fairly safe. I think it was worth a try, because how else do you win this game? As Blue, you have to recognize that you're not doing that great. On the other hand, there are some crucial coin flips that Blue could win. There's the evil hamster here. Please, somebody in the chat who knows experience, explain the terminology. But yeah, it means an empty slot for a 9-point monastery with 1 move. And if Black gets that, they are 33 and they're chilling. And of course, they could get their meeple back here and still take 5 points for the road afterwards. But this move here by Blue, I find quite surprising. They were afraid to commit a meeple to a farm, which is probably going to be worth at least 12 points, if not more. But they're not afraid to commit their penultimate meeple on a 5-point city, which is unlikely to get finished, while they quite clearly need meeples for other stuff. In the meantime, it looks like the match is going really for Brazil. Teos has won his 2nd game, and Ronaldo has won his 2nd game, which is probably something that will make Rodrigo, the player who had to be replaced, feel much, much better. Vinny has won against CT to the 5th degree, to the 5th degree. And yeah, it does look that Brazil is quite surprisingly making this match quite one-sided, even though I did not expect it to be that way. Look at that move. Red is over-farming, deciding that she'll win the game no matter what if she just controls the field with 3 meeples. It could be the case, but I'm not sure about that, because maybe with this evil hamster and some other monasteries, you could do something. Wow, I think we just saw the move that is going to lose blue the game. They committed the last meeple to their field, and they're not getting a meeple back anytime soon. So they've dropped a farmer, not even to equalize, but to get a 2 versus 3 minority. Of course, they get exceptionally lucky and draw the tile that they need instantly. But the thing is, they don't even have enough to win if they drop another farmer. They need points. And of course, they could try and take away this ruin. There would still be 1 tile remaining to unify all these segments. They could go over here and try to block, and if anything, if blue is to win this game, they would need to try and block this square. Yeah, thanks Elias for explaining the Carcassonne lingo. Well, now the game is definitely over. Muye has gotten her evil hamster, and yeah, that just should be it. Well, let me think about this. I think we should still watch this for at least a couple of minutes and see how blue manages to come up with some sort of effort. So maybe they start with this. And then maybe there's a world how they get a lot of points for this city. I don't know. Interestingly, so Muye is saying that this move was a misclick, but actually I'd rather like it. I mean, she's pre-building a city in her field. And we know that this farmer is getting here eventually, so what does it matter? And if that's a misclick, where did she want to place that tile? Maybe 1 square to the left. Maybe she was trying to block the farm entrance and make it so that blue would be forced to continue her monastery. But in the meantime, we're going to see what a meeple advantage really is. And in its ultimate form, when you have 1 meeple and your opponent has 0 meeples, the amount of quick points that you can take can accumulate to incredible proportions. Oh, hey, we have Theos in the chat, the person who won at table number 2. Congratulations on your win. Will we actually witness a 10-0? It's possible. You know what? I think I'm going to make an exception. I really can't see blue winning this game. And I want to catch Vinny Lessa before he finishes his. So we're going to prematurely congratulate Muye for her first duel win, if you excuse me. But I like, you know, having a glimpse at least at everybody. So lots of CTs, but not many points. Maybe you want to have fewer CTs, but a bit more points. On the other hand, slight meeple advantage. But Vinny here with the red meeples has his meeples quite productively deployed. This one meeple is connected to these two meeples in a sort of trapping them, giving red the long-term meeple advantage. This meeple is on a monastery, which is a good use of a meeple. This meeple is on a monastery, which also controls your opponent's city, which is a great use of a meeple. So I'd say that looking at this game, things are really heading towards a 10-0. So obviously like 5-0 in the match, but also 10-0 in the tiebreakers of Brazil potentially winning every single game. And I'm not sure if that's something that has ever happened at any world championship. Of course, Elias is asking cities or CDs. No, I meant CTs in the screen name of the player with the green meeples. He doesn't have a lot of cities, but he has a lot of CTs. Okay, sorry about that. This curve over here, next to Red's Monastery, was actually huge because it prevented the player from Hong Kong getting his 8 points in a meeple back. So now I think everyone in Hong Kong wants one thing to happen. All of them, all 10 million of them, or actually no, way more. Sorry for exposing my lack of education. Are hoping for this one tile that goes over here. And then another tile that goes here, this one. And then a few triangles and city caps to finish this city. It does seem like the only way for Hong Kong to come back. While CT is thinking, I'm going to bother you. Actually, no, I'm just going to open another tab. And I want to keep track of whether Helik, in the other encounter, manages to draw the city tile that he needed just to make it close. Because that would certainly make things interesting. And I'll be following both of these games sort of at the same time. Oh, look at that. He drew it. Okay, we made it just for the last tile. So at least it's going to be somewhat sort of kind of close. City, 2 tiles away from finishing. It's going to be worth at least 20 points or so. But I think ultimately this meeple over here and this unfinished road is what's going to cost Blue the game, because they were without a meeple for so long. And look at this field fight. This is why I didn't... this is why I said this was the game-losing move for them, because this move just sacrifices a meeple into the fire. Because Red has the meeple majority anyway. Typically when somebody overfarms, you only fight back if the farm is really big. And it wasn't at that time. It only got big once Red had like just randomly dropped the city cap over here, because she could afford to do that. She didn't have any meeples. And now, on top of that, she's going to slow roll before she makes this 13-point move over here. 13 because this would be 10 for the city and 3 for her field, which she controls with 3 meeples. I think it's still going to be like plus 30 or something. And even with plus 30, it is as close as blue could have made it. After he spent his last meeple. Plus 40 actually, so a very convincing win here for the young Brazilian talents. And for Helik, probably a learning experience about spending your last meeple. But we're gonna go back to the remaining encounter between Vinny and lots of CTs. And we got word that Bernardo also won his second game against the player with the screen name Skyzerg. So Brazil is now leading 4-0 in the match. And now this game becomes actually very important. Will the player with the green meeples here manage to prevent a complete 10-0 defeat for his team? Do let me know if that happened before. There have been a lot of 5-0s in the both in this championship and before. So for example, Germany won against Argentina 5-0 the other day. They won all duels, but Argentina was at least able to win the 2 games. So it was 5-0 in duels and 10-2 in games. And I don't think I've ever seen a 10-0. So do let me know if that happened before and who were the teams. I know that some of you like that kind of stats, so please find this information for me. Yes, Elias, I also remember some 9-1, but never 10-0. Oh, sorry about that. It wasn't actually Guatemala, it was Argentina. They just have very similar light blue flags, if you ask me. Argentina is in a different group, as actually Argentina hasn't played yet. And Argentina has a pretty strong team. Also, fun fact. Argentina has a player who has the highest win rate against me in the entire championship. Well, basically, there are 4 players against whom I have a negative score. And one of them is from Argentina. That's the player with the screen name Santi Blader. They just always come to my streams where I play with viewers, and they just win all the time. So I'll be very curious to see how they are gonna do. But yeah, it was Guatemala that was playing against Germany. In the meantime, not much has happened in this game. Players have started thinking a bit longer, so CT is now getting in a bit of a time trouble, which of course is not great for them. They still made their move on time, and there have been losses on time. One of them in Team Latvia, and 2 of them from the same player in Team Taiwan, which I find a very noticeable feat. Red is demonstrating the power of the monasteries, threatening to finish this one, and possibly even take 2 more points for the road if that happens with the crossroads. Fields, in the meantime, seem to be not that lucrative. Well, there's this 6-point farmer with not a lot of potential. But let's see if that changes. Interestingly, this city is still live because there's still 1 more tile that fits in this square. So I'd say that still green has some chances. However, once Vinny has completed his monastery so quickly, especially if he wins the next flip for this curve and maybe for this crossroads to get 7 more road points, then maybe he doesn't even mind green finishing this city. Still, the tile that goes here is absolutely key to determine the outcome of this game. So I just have to put it up there. I like graphics, okay? Hello, Bernardo. Congratulations on your win. Did you notice, by the way, that people who watch my streams tend to do quite well at the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship? Must be some sort of a coincidence. While green is thinking, I need to remind you to meeple the like button because it is important for the algorithm and for bringing new players into the competitive Carcassonne scene. This move was actually brilliant here by green. I have to really make a note of moves like this. Even though it doesn't do anything at the moment, it's actually setting up to do two things. If green gets a curve, green would unify these fields. So he would unify his 6-point field over here with the more valuable potentially 9, potentially 15-point field that red is controlling over here. He would also create more opportunities for risk because big field means big potential swings. He could draw some sort of big city tile, drop a farmer over here, take over this resulting 15, maybe 21-point farm as a result. But also, he's setting up one other thing. Getting a curve, and then getting the critical tile over here and scoring 9 points for the road. He does get one of his objectives, and look at that. He really knows how to risk hard. That's, I know, here green is actually playing well. Also placing his last meeple on the monastery, which he absolutely has to do. There's still a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 curves remaining that fit into this hole. So this game suddenly became winnable. Totally winnable for green. There's a clear win path. Actually, possibly multiple win paths. Check this out now. If green finishes his city first, green will have a meeple. They get the thing, they get the critical tile. But unfortunately, they don't have a meeple. If they were to have a meeple, they could have dropped a farmer over here. And then ultimately finished this 9-point road and the monastery and have gotten a meeple into the field. So, of course, they got quite fortunate into winning the coin flip. They would have gotten even more fortunate had they finished this city cap first. Something that they will need to do at some point if they want to claim this road, which they really need a meeple for. These points here are going to be quite decisive. Alternatively, as green, they could try and finish the city perhaps. But it's not going to work. Because a lot of triangles, 5 triangles with the road have already been out. Green does not seem to be able to draw a crucial city cap, and the hopes for green are dwindling, but they're all not lost. I'm going to remove the critical tile for the graphics, and I guess I should put some kind of city cap here because it's crucial for green's game, but it doesn't matter which city cap. I think a move that green is considering is placing this monastery over here and at the same time both bothering and protecting his own city. So he must be counting what kind of city caps there are remaining. And just by looking at it, it does seem that there are few city caps remaining that contain a piece of road. So maybe in order to prevent your opponent from putting a piece of road like this and restricting this square to a city cap with a road, if green places a monastery over here, green can hope for This kind of city cap. Exactly, yeah. And this is why green did this. So they counted up the city cap. We're going to trust them that they were correct. It does look so with naked eye. And now there are opportunities. There is a world where green finishes not this city, but this city at the bottom. Okay, look. So there's still 2 triangles. So if green places a triangle like this, seemingly blocking, not like this. It was the okay. It's also fine, but it's not ideal. If green were to hope for this sort of dagger tile and another triangle, this city totally finishable. Now here, exactly the kind of stuff that I was talking about. There are 2 triangles away from finishing the city. It's totally doable. We're gonna get content. Will he or will he not get a triangle? I'm pretty sure he's recounting the triangles. But if you come back into this game, you have to do it. You have to do it, my friend. Interestingly, a curve would give 9 points next to the monastery. So actually, a curve is almost as valuable as the monastery. And he goes for it. He has the 75% chance to complete the city, which is why Vinny's trying to block it immediately. But CT does not get a defense tile, and Vinny's only 1 move away from blocking. Will that happen? There's nothing that green can do with this tile. Probably only just dump it somewhere and just pray that... I don't know what he can pray for. Yeah, probably we're going to see a block next move no matter what. And here comes the curve. And look at this. 1 move away. Green was 1 move away from completing the city. He made it so close. Well, at least he made something happen. He made sure that red does not score 9 points for this road. There's still 1 curve remaining, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, there's 1 curve remaining. I should have trusted my tile tracking. So let's say if green gets a meeple back here, he can still get these road points. So by creating this threat, green still got something out of it. Green is fighting back, but the critical tile is no longer that critical. The one that matters more is this curve. There's 1 remaining, and it will give potentially 9 points to the person who draws it. Assuming, of course, that CT draws a city cap before that and has a meeple to actually take advantage from that curve. Now, there's some moves that CT is considering here. The move that he's definitely considering is just putting this tile over here and then hoping that red is not able to block this city. He chickens out, understandably, because this would have been game over for him. This would have been blocked. Does not get a curve to get a meeple back, does not get a city cap, but some city caps are still out there. I see at least 1. Actually, I see more than that. I see like 3 that put here. So the next one has to be a city cap, right? Well, no. In Carcassonne, almost anything can happen. Vinny is now accruing quick points with his 1 remaining meeple, so green does get a city cap, and green still has hopes for the curve. The only thing that he does not have hopes for is a field connection, because there will be not enough time to simply put more meeples into the field. It does not happen. So maybe, as green, you have to go out with glory. You have to hope for the curve, but you have to hope for it elsewhere. You probably got to drop some sort of farmer here, or here, or here, and then hope that you get a curve and connect through this way or that way. The thing that you got to calculate is how blockable is either of these spots and go for the least blockable one, or you could just place it here and drop a farmer for 6 points, and then hope that red gets some sort of unlucky tile that prevents him from claiming the other 9-point field, and then you claim the 9-point field as green, something like that. The only thing that I'm sure about is that there's one curve remaining, and that green really, really wants that curve. He goes for the field connection. He's trying to get 6 points. Now, puzzle moment. Can you figure out the move for Vinny here? I can. So as Vinny, you're ahead. You have to assume that CT is going to get lucky and going to get a curve, which is why you go here and drop an insurance farmer on the outside. Yes, and Vinny knows this and goes out in style. Well, he makes green go out in style, I guess, just to guarantee himself that he's going to preserve the field. But it doesn't matter because he doesn't get the coin flip anyway. Would have been more spectacular had green drawn the tile. You're going to see it in just a minute. But that's what happens when you're not the starting player. Red was the starting player, so all along the entire game, and especially at the end game, green had slightly lower probabilities of success. And in fact, when placing this farmer, he had only a 33% chance of success. And Vinny even connected both farmers just to show who the boss here is, just to show the concept of an insurance meeple, so that I don't have to edit a puzzle video. We just have a puzzle video right there on stream. Hopefully that was instructive to some of you who are looking to improve your end game and field game, or those of you who just came to enjoy the show. Hopefully you find this entertaining, because what I expected the close match to be 3-2 ended up being a completely one-sided domination of Brazil. And Brazil is saying that this year they have a revamped team. They have an approach. They've gotten rid of Melvin Quaresma. Maybe that was the key. A joke, obviously. And yeah, it's going to be one of the teams to watch. Alrighty. Now, I'll just need to remind you a few things. Again, I gotta remind you about meepling the like button. It is important. Also, if you intend to watch this content more than once, do not only hit subscribe, but also the notifications actually help, because if you only hit subscribe, you're not going to get notified about most of the streams. You will only get notified in about half of the cases, and we're gonna have to cover a lot of action every week, plus probably multiple times per week throughout the World Championships. And two more things. Next week, of course, I'm going to be streaming and stuff, but there's also going to be a viewer game analysis stream for which I already have submissions, but you are welcome to send me submissions for the May game analysis stream some point next week, and just stay tuned. The schedule will appear somewhere on my community tab on my YouTube channel, and in my Board Game Arena profile for those of you who are on Board Game Arena, which I assume is like 90% of you. And of course, I need to remind you that, in case I haven't said this enough, I will be giving away a copy of Citadels to one of you, complete with extra competitive rules by Alexey. These rules are not in the instruction manual, and these are actually better than the ones that are in the original instruction manual. And if you don't know what Citadels is, it's a board game that you are quite likely to enjoy. In order to do that, you gotta follow the link down below to see what the terms and conditions are. And basically, it's a Fantasy 5. You need to select a team of 5 World Championship players, not teams, but players from different countries who you think are going to perform best, and then just follow their success. So those of you who bet on Brazil are getting their bets back and then some. Yeah, just congratulations to everybody, and respect for Mr. or Mrs. CT over here for actually making us all sweat with this big city and looking for comebacks into this game. I see Brazilian flags in the chat. Melvin is here. Yeah, you see how well they're doing without you? Yes, Raf, of course, any future streams. As for the games next week, we don't know the schedule of the matches. The schedule of the matches appears only a couple of days before the actual match. So just stay tuned. All of them are going to be quite short notice. Of course, the game analysis stream I already mentioned. Yeah, thank you everybody for the kind words. Congratulations, Brazil. Probably a good time to finish. Also, Ronaldo here in the chat who won on table 2. Congratulations. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.